Welcome everyone to Open House at QUBS in 2021. We are so excited to have you all with us today as we learn a little bit about geocaching. My name is Megan and I'm one of the Outreach and Stewardship interns at the Biology Station this year.
And my name is Lindsay and I'm the other Outreach and Stewardship intern here at QUBS.
Whether you're new to geocaching or if you've already gone a few times, that is a-okay. Geocaching is a fun, family-friendly activity for everyone to enjoy.
For today's event, we're going to take you on a journey with us as we explore the basics of geocaching and see what treasures we can find. We will also talk a bit about GPS and how coordinate systems are used, and then we will also introduce you to the Geocaching Adventure Lab platform.
We also wanted to let you know that we are not sponsored by the geocaching app or the organization. Lindsay and I are just two students that are really excited about geocaching and want to share our knowledge with you. So let's jump into GPS. Before we actually jump into things, we're just going to acknowledge the territory that we're on.
So Queen's University is situated on traditional Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee territory. Specifically, the Upper Lake Environmental Education Center is situated on unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory and is a part of the Algonquin land claimed by the Algonquins of Ontario, currently under negotiation with the federal government of Canada. Acknowledgement of these facts requires recognition of the pre-colonial history of this land and the peoples who live here and continue to live here. The cultures and spiritualities of Indigenous peoples are connected to the land, and the land is an integral part of their ways of knowing and living. These knowledge systems are continually evolving in relation to the land and its other inhabitants, both human and other than human. The Kingston Indigenous community continues to reflect the area's Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee roots. There is also a significant Métis community, and there are First Peoples from other nations across Turtle Island present here today.
All right, so what is GPS? A global positioning system, also known as GPS, is a system of satellites designed to help navigate on the Earth, in the air, and on water. A GPS unit takes signals from 32 satellites in space orbiting 20,200 kilometers above the Earth. GPS units then use math to calculate where the GPS and you are located from each satellite's position and distance. GPS was originally developed as a military navigational device shortly after the first satellites were sent into space in the late 1950s. GPS was then launched in 1973 after the satellites became reliable by the U.S. military service and is now used in everyday life and science. GPS uses two different units, either latitude and longitude or UTM navigation, and you can use either, but you'll want to make sure that the coordinates you are given and the GPS or map use the same version so that you actually get to where you want to get to.
So one datum used by GPS is called latitude and longitude, which is one system of lines used to describe the location of any place on Earth. So lines of latitude run in an east-west direction across Earth, and lines of longitude run in a north-south direction. So although these are only imaginary lines, they appear on maps and globes as if they actually existed. The equator is 0 degrees latitude, and the prime meridian in Greenwich, England is 0 degrees longitude. The GPS system makes use of the geographical lines of latitude and longitude to provide coordinates for a person's location or a place of interest. So latitude and longitude together can describe the exact location of any place on Earth. So for example, the Queen's University Biological Station lies 44 degrees north of the equator and 76 degrees west of the prime meridian. So its position is 44 degrees north and 76 degrees west. And so these two numbers together are called coordinates. However, QUBS does not fall exactly on that grid intersection, and so we can further pinpoint its location using smaller units, which we call minutes and seconds. So the space between each line of latitude or longitude that represents 1 degree can be further divided into 60 minutes, and then each minute can be further divided into 60 seconds. And so the full location of QUBS is on the slide there.
The other datum you can use is called the Universal Transverse Mercator, or UTM coordinates. UTM coordinates are very useful when using a GPS because they're actually measured in meters, which makes it easier to see how far away things are. You can think of the UTM system as long strips laid over the Earth. You might be thinking, well, isn't that just latitude and longitude? But wait, UTM divides the world into 60 vertical strips, each spanning 6 degrees of longitude. With this method, there are 60 strips on the globe numbered 1 to 60 called zones. A zone can be further divided into north and south to illustrate if you're north or south of the equator. Since the world is a 3D sphere, the strips are not rectangles, but rather they're oval-shaped. However, it can be easier to imagine these strips are perfectly flat without thinking about the grid. Just like if you were to peel a strip off of an orange and try to lay it down on your table, it won't sit perfectly flat, but will flatten out when broken into smaller pieces. Instead of using latitude and longitude coordinates, each 6-degree wide UTM zone has an arbitrary central meridian, or middle line, of 500,000 meters. Any point within a zone hemisphere can be identified by an XY coordinate pair that tells you how many meters east and north the point lies from the coordinate system origin. Easting coordinates give coordinates along the east-west plane, and northern coordinates give coordinates along the north-south plane. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, the equator has a northern value of 0 meters, and this value increases as you move north. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, the equator starts at 10 million meters, and this value will decrease as you move south. That way, there are no negative coordinates. So if we were to look at the UTM coordinates for QUBS, you can see that QUBS is in zone 18, and it's north of the equator. It is 394,871 meters east of the bottom left corner of the zone, or shown here, and it's also 4,935,512 meters north of the equator. So you can see approximately, this is a drawing that's not to scale, but you can see approximately where QUBS is based off of these UTM coordinates.
So GPS is also used in a variety of other ways in your life that you might not be aware of. And so some examples include maps, directions, and Google Earth, but there's also the military, commercial uses, internet sales, clock synchronization, disaster relief, emergency services, Pokemon Go, Snapchat filters, robotics, sports, running, and the list goes on.
What is geocaching? Geocaching is a real-world outdoor treasure hunt activity. So geocaching is geo and cache. Geo refers to geography, whereas cache refers to the process of hiding or retrieving something. Often cache is used in computer terms, in terms of storing memory, whereas if it's used in the outdoors, like hiking or camping, then it's used to hide or retrieve something, which is the case in geocaching. There's different containers that are hidden in specific locations, and although there's different container types, no two geocaches are the same.
When you download the geocaching app, the app will show you all the different points of geocaches that are hidden in your area.
So how do you start geocaching? So if you have a smartphone, the first thing you can do is download the app. It's just called Geocaching. And so this is the screen that you're going to get when you first open the app. And so if you don't have a geocaching account, all you have to do is click sign up, and you need to enter your email address and then make a username and password. But since I already have an account, I'm just going to skip that part and log in quickly. And the app will just give you a couple of reminders before you get started. So this is what the app looks like when you log in. And so the blue dot here that is flashing is my current location. And then these green boxes are locations of geocaches around me. And so this is just giving me a little bit of info about a geocache. It's a traditional type, which is what we're going to go look for. And so this one is called Don't Bark Up the Wrong Tree, as an example. Let's say I want to go find that. I just tap on its name there. And then here you can see all the information about the geocache. So its difficulty is a 2.0, its terrain is a 1.0, and it's a micro-sized cache. And so if you click on that, then you can read all about that geocache. And then there is a description about the cache. I'm not going to read that all right now, but if you want to, you can check that out. There are some attributes here. So it's accessible to kids and strollers. There's parking nearby, etc. And yeah, so if I want to go here, all I do is press navigate, and my phone will show me the path that I should take, which is a pretty linear path. And so if I were to actually start moving, then the blue arrow that represents my location would start moving along the path, which is really cool. And if you click on the compass at the top, my phone actually can turn into a compass here. So I'm just spinning it around. You can see it moving. And then you can also see the coordinates of my location at the bottom and the coordinates of my destination, which are in the latitude longitude system.
Okay, so when a geocache is hidden, the person who put it there recorded its coordinates. And so if you want to go and find it, all you have to do is enter the location in a GPS-enabled device, such as a smartphone or a handheld GPS, and off you go. So what does a geocache look like? Well, geocaches come in many different sizes, shapes, and colors. So when you start a geocache, the app should tell you what size of geocache you're looking for. It could be something really small, like a vial or a film canister, or it could be a larger container, like this one here.
All right, let's go find one. And I found the container right here. So when you open the container, all geocaches will contain a little logbook. So you can use the writing utensil and sign and date that you were here. There's also often little toys, just like this one, or the pens, that you're welcome to take as long as you replace it with something of equal or greater value. Some geocaches will also contain an information sheet that will tell you more information about the cache or the greater, larger location.
Geocaches have different difficulties, and some require longer hikes, higher elevations, or better hiding spots. The difficulty of the cache will be listed on the cache description.
So first, when you start out, we suggest that you look for beginner and easy caches and then transition on to the harder ones as you get more experience.
Most geocaches should be accessible throughout the year depending on your location, but you'll want to keep the weather in mind, as some weathery days might be more enjoyable than some other ones. Also, snow may impact where the geocache is and how it's hidden, and so you'll want to check on the geocache description if it is available in all seasons or not before you head out. In addition to geocaching, you can also try embarking on a Geocache Adventure Lab. So this is an additional app that was created by those who made the original geocaching app, and a Geocache Adventure Lab is a little bit different than a normal geocache. It's a branch of geocaching that takes you on a scavenger hunt of local destinations, and it gives you the chance to explore new sites and learn more about their history. So if you're already a geocache member, these stages count as caches towards your geocaching account statistics and total finds. But the adventures do not require a physical container, and they can also be located indoors. On the slide here, we can see an example geocache adventure from Kingston, and it shows you the adventure, how it has the information on it, as well as the different stops within it. The stops are in a specific order that you have to follow, and some adventures have fairly spaced out points or stops, and others are within walking distance. So you just need to make sure to check the distances before your points, and so you know what you get into. And we also wanted to let you know that we are creating geocaches at Elbow Lake Environmental Education Center. So in hopefully a little bit of time, you'll be able to come up to the station and do some caching as well. Stay tuned to our social media to learn more about our upcoming geocaching adventures, as well as other public outreach events that we have throughout the rest of the summer. And thanks so much for joining us today.